Other topic I'm going to cover in this first segment here is what has happened at Leeds United. Javi Gracia out, Victor Orta out. That's your manager, your director of football, who basically built this Leeds team, oversaw the Marcelo Bielsa era, all of that. And I want to start by going back to what I said when Jesse Marsch got fired. Jesse Marsch did not underachieve. Jesse Marsch didn't overachieve either. But he did not underachieve. He had that team exactly where that team was supposed to be. They're the 15th best team in the league with Tyler Adams healthy, and they're one of the worst three without him. And that is exactly what has happened. And I do feel bad for Javi Gracia because it's not really his fault. And he comes in and it starts well, and then Tyler Adams gets hurt and it's fallen apart. Now, they had to make this change because they look lost. They look completely out of confidence. And you have one opportunity with these, 4 games to save your season and kind of save this club from going back after things were going so well. To me, it's not on Gracia. It's just it wasn't working. You got to try. But there's a reason I had Kelvin Phillips on my all-important Premier League team last season. And Tyler Adams might get there this season. This team defensively is just not good enough. And they've had 2 sensational holding midfielders that cover up so many of their flaws. And they pay the price when those guys aren't there. And so now you're in this really tough spot. You bring in Sam Allardyce, who I buy the logic here in terms of we got to stop leaking goals, get organized, and just see if we can pull something off here. And Allardyce has obviously made a living off of doing this, although you can have an argument as to how successful he's actually been. This is the reputation he's built. He's the relegation savior. At the same time, it needs to be pointed out that this is the most generic thing a club in this situation can do, and a strong commentary on Victor Orta. Because Sam Allardyce is the total opposite of Marcelo Bielsa, right? Leeds had this identity, this clear vision of who they wanted to be. And it has gone so poorly, and they have recruited so poorly, that they have basically given up on that identity. Because you fire Bielsa, and you think maybe just time had run out there, right? He is by no means a long-term planner guy. It's incredible he stayed at Leeds as long as he did. So then you go bring in somebody with the same general philosophy in Jesse Marsch. So it's not like anything changed there. And now you have gone from that to Sam Allardyce. There is, right, any club in this position, Sam Allardyce is the person you're going to call. There is nothing distinctive about Leeds at this point, and that is a massive problem, and that is a personnel problem in terms of player acquisition, identity, managerial search, who you want leading your club, and what the vision is, all of that kind of stuff, and that's Victor Orta. Because now you're just back to square one. You're hoping that you can find a way to save this and try again next year. But the problems are still going to be there. And now you have a game at Manchester City, which, by the way, I also want to acknowledge Erling Haaland, 35 goals, Premier League, single season record. I will never understand why anybody doubted his ability to have success. It's laughable how much success he has had this season and just what he's done. So congratulations to him. You have a new Premier League single season goal scorer. He could very well break it at some point in his City career again. But wanted to also acknowledge that while I talk about Manchester City briefly there. So at Manchester City, home against Newcastle, playing really, really well, still fighting for top 4. At West Ham, still in the thick of the relegation fight. And then at Spurs, who knows what you're going to get. They could still be in position to try and qualify for Europe at that point. They might be inspired even if they're kind of out of that conversation. Who knows? But there's a real chance you don't get any points from those games. Or you get, 1 or 2. And that's not going to be enough. And then you look at what Leicester and Everton did on Monday. Jamie Vardy scoring goals again for Leicester. They've got their midfield back. They're playing better. They've still, defensively, there are problems. But they're playing better. And Everton, that was an inspired performance. They only came away with a point. They probably needed 3. But you can't fault the effort or the ambition. They came out, they played, they created all kinds of chances, and they just couldn't capitalize the way they needed to. It was this very bizarre game. Leicester could have been up 3-4-1. Everton could have been up 3-4-1. And it ended 2-2. But you need to pass one of those teams, even if you assume Nottingham Forest and Southampton are going down. And they are just, from a schedule standpoint, from a confidence standpoint, from a form standpoint, Leicester and Everton are just in better situations than Leeds right now. This is a massive, massive hole that Leeds have to climb out of. And I know they're right there in terms of points. But where are they? You have to do something to change the status quo. And where are those points coming from in these 4 games? Manchester City still haven't clinched the title. I haven't really done the math on how close Newcastle are to top 4, but I don't think they will have clinched it in 2 games from now. And they're still going to want to take a victory lap anyway. West Ham, probably not going to feel 100% safe. And then again, Spurs, who knows what you're going to get. But there just aren't, you don't look at that and see points. And it's not like they need 1 or 2. They need to make sure that they end up with more than Everton and Leicester. It's a monumental task. It really is. And I said this even before, I think it was last week on this show. I said, I am really, really concerned for Leeds. They're just in one of the 3 worst positions, and they're one of the 3 worst teams. And now they're going to the relegation expert to see if he can pull off a miracle here, but quite honestly, I don't see it happening. There's just too little time, too much difficulty in the schedule, and too much work to do. Maybe I'm wrong, but the final thing I'll say here, and I made this point in my 5 things from the week. Don't ever doubt Tyler Adams' value and importance, club and country, again after this. Go look. Their performances since he has been injured are staggering. He is the most important player on this team. He is the most important player on the U.S. men's national team, and it's not close. I'm a firm believer you learn as much about a player's value when they're not there as you do when they are. And that's proving to be the case with Tyler Adams right now and the situation Leeds United now find themselves in.